It's a new day here on Splash Play, draft number 70 of me so far streamed in 2024. And today we're going to talk about some of the stacks that I like more than the market. And I think if you guys watch Splash Play regularly, you probably pick up on this. We're going to call them out specifically. Bear Claws up today once again, as you can see Caleb doing behind me. Of course, we are already in a draft room today. Best Ball Mania 5, $1.5 million of first place. And according to some of the experts out there, the EV grinders, the people that put together spreadsheets based upon payouts, it does seem like this tournament is currently the friendliest one in all of best balls. So something to keep in mind here if you are planning your entries for the year. Also worth pointing out as well, Underdog, new promo code deal on there. You can see that you're getting up to $150, up to $250, excuse me, in bonus cash as a new promotion. So it does change the match structure. It's now not a 100% match for you, but something to keep in mind there that you are now getting more money if you're putting money in on Underdog. So that's the deal there. If you're a new customer, promo code SPLASH on there on Underdog Fantasy. Check it out. We're picking in the 7-hole here. Chalk start so far with McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb. We will see what some of the regulars do here. OMG, our guy Nolan, who's usually in chat. Touch of Green, I think, is too, but who knows? We'll see what these guys do ahead of me here. Stacks that I like to come top of mind, first of all. I mean, I guess really, the field is there on the Bears, but I think the field's there on the Bears out of inertia, out of rookie enthusiasm, out of new toy enthusiasm more than actual belief in them. But I would say Chicago, one of those stacks that I'm higher on the public on. What we're going to start with here, though, is a team that I can't possibly be higher than the public on because public loves them very much. The big chalk bet last year was Detroit making a leap. We'll go back there once again. Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 7. Definitely a chalk start for me going with Amon-Ra there, but I'm happy to do it because Amon-Ra, one of my favorite players in general, and certainly a guy that last year got a lot of exposure to and really thought last year he could be the wide receiver 1. Obviously didn't end up doing that, but close enough, right? Close enough for where he went at ADP was. Though I guess CeeDee Lamb technically was even better. So that 1-2 turn last year ended up being a murderer spot for sure. Got some GMs in the chat. Shout out you guys being here. Of course, I'm sure it's a competitive best ball streaming landscape, so I do appreciate you guys watching me, whether it's once, whether it's occasionally, whether it's live or it's after the fact. I do appreciate your guys' views here. But of course, the goal is always to build some sick teams, and that is what we're going to try to do once again today with a timely 11 a.m. East Coast start. Monday to Fridays at 11 a.m. Sometimes I go a little bit earlier. I don't really go later very often, but sometimes a little bit earlier. But that's the schedule here. Tomorrow or Friday drafts, 0 RB Friday, perhaps the return tomorrow after I accidentally skipped it last week. But every day has been 0 RB day here on Splash Play this week. I've been doing extreme 0 RBs left and right. So maybe time to take a running back if we can. We'll see what happens here. Brandon Ayuk again at the turn. Why is this? Did his ADP come up? Or are these guys just consistent reaches for Ayuk at the turn? I don't get why people are doing this. It's like it's now been 3 rooms in a row where Brandon Ayuk has gone at the 1-2 turn. And I don't get is there something out there? Are there rankings that somebody has Brandon Ayuk as these 2 picks, Ayuk and Olave, were 2-3 turn guys on the big board, and nothing has changed for them. I know we talked about Olave a little bit yesterday, but Jesus. And then Diggs at 14. All right, weird stuff happening. I only watch because he holds the football. Thank you, Gabe Davis. I mean, Gabe Davis, a man who's no stranger to having a football in his hands and doing great things with it. He knows. I'm doing the same thing here. Splash Play chilling at the beach, a fitting combo. Love to hear that. Shout out Cameron here. Cameron. Him and the Dipset hanging out on the beach. Jahmyr Gibbs goes at 15 because of Diggs at fucking 14. Almost got Harrison coming back, which would have been a delight. Instead, we'll get Drake London coming back, which is less of a delight, but still, I'll say somewhat delightful. Amon-Ra, come on down. I should take a running back. At some point, I have to take a running back in the first couple rounds. I'm just not there mentally this week. It's a wide receiver time of view. Hayden had a video saying Ayuk is really undervalued. Jacobs as well. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about, is he really undervalued? I mean, he was great. In terms of the metrics that I swear by, the EPA metrics of Sports Info Solutions, I mean, he was one of the top receivers. If you guys are hitting the join button down below, you see my Spags rankings. I do include the EPA per target, EPA per rush of every player in the NFL that I'm ranking here, every player in best ball, rather. And Ayuk last year was a 0.65 EPA per target. So, I think he's great too. It's just, he's not a guy that's going to get you 10 targets a game reliably. And that's the biggest issue to me. And he's not getting traded. So, he can be the best receiver in football, and he's still not gonna have enough touchdown equity on that team either. I just don't think he can afford to come up more. I can't take him 1-2 turn. I guess I'll have to because I believe in the player, but I don't agree with that at all. That's what I'm lower than marking on, I guess. I've lobbied my complaints about Debo's ADP for a while now. Like, he goes even higher this year than he did last year when he basically had the same year. Like, it's a little bit better. I shouldn't short sell him that much, but the situation for Debo would have been a lot better if IU got traded. With these guys coming back, the Niners have said they're both coming back. The situation is the same, and then you run the risk of, like, maybe the Niners just aren't as good as last year. Like, I don't think that's likely. I believe in the Niners a lot. They're a well-coached team. I think they're a lot of talent on both sides of the ball and all that. But, like, you have to think about outcomes that aren't just the chalk hitting even better. Like, I just think that's not the way to draft, but whatever. People are going to draft how they're going to draft. I was hoping that Laporta might come back to me, but can't expect that in any room. Unfortunately, Laporta goes 26. So we are now not getting a Lions stack. We are then just getting a little taste of the Lions of the Mon-Ra. We'll see what else we do. From being far behind from being overseas, how do you feel about my previous drafts trying to catch up? What? How do I feel about my own previous drafts? I don't think I've had a lot of bad drafts on stream. I mean, I know we've had some people who watched the entire playlist and been leaving comments as they rewatch it. So that's what you can do for the big board. You could also start with the first BBM draft and go. But I think it's a good playlist to watch. I appreciate you watching from overseas, or if you are still overseas. But yeah, I would say it's really not a bad draft to hop into. I honestly don't think I've put up a draft that I find objectionably bad in a while. Some are better than others. The one that I had last Friday, there were 2 drafts there. I think it's titled like very fun and unique drafts. Those were really good. I did enjoy those a lot. All right. We're on the clock here. I do like DK Metcalf, but I would like to break my type a little bit today. I'm actually going to go Derrick Henry. Now, he's old. That's not great, but he is one of those players that is a willful stat, sometimes running back production overall. And Derrick Henry is going to get the work. Is he going to be involved in the pass game like he was in Tennessee the year before last? That's not going to change, I think, back. Last year, you did see that role of Tyjae Spears, even though Derrick Henry the year before last, actually pretty good in the pass game. Caught a few screens for some big plays. Was involved a little bit more. I think got like 2 to 4 targets a game for the most part the year before last. For Derrick Henry, though, so that goes away, but the touchdown equity is going to be huge. There's a team that last year fed Gus Edwards like he was Derrick Henry. Now they have the actual Derrick Henry, and this team has also been unafraid to feed aging vets, to chase aging vets. So Derrick Henry, not high in my exposure list, still functionally for how I'd like to draft. He's not a guy that I imagine I would get over the field on if I even get to with the field on him, but I do want some shares, and I think Derrick Henry, if you're going to take a running back in round 3, he and Josh Jacobs, I think, are the obvious ones. Wow, DK Metcalf, fancy Gabe Davis. That's a tough one. That's not true at all. Metcalf does command targets. It's just that he was in an offense that I think didn't help him out. And that's one thing too, again, Caleb on the thumbnail, Shane Waldron, now the Bears offensive coordinator. I think a lot of that offense last year, and I think some of its conservatism, the lack of progressive thought, I think that came more from Pete Carroll than Waldron. But that's a critique point that you can make, is that offense was really not as wide open as it should be, especially when you're paying JSN big money, or not big money, you're drafting with high draft capital rather, and you're paying Metcalf big money, and you're paying Lockett good money. You really should be like spreading these guys out, getting them on the field, doing more than giving JSN. I think he had 6 intended air yards per attempt last year. Double check that. Jackson. Yeah, he had 6.5 yards after contact. Wait, that can't be right. Yeah, he had 6.4 intended air yards per attempt. So he was basically getting, a little bit, not even past close to the sticks throws. Like, he's getting bullshit slot targets. So the hope is really that, like, for Seattle this year, that just having Ryan Grubb is going to change over that offense enough. And it was one that I don't think was an attacking offense last year very much. But I really do think that's more of a Pete Carroll thing. Like, over his years, he definitely started to lean on the defense more. And you have the Legion of Boom, you get why a coach starts to deviate. But he used to be a high pass rate guy, at USC, high pass rate guy initially for Seattle, and then that kind of creeped down every year. So we'll see what happens in Seattle this year. But I think no matter what, it's got to be a better situation. All in on DK, passing off this year. I do think Seattle's not a team I'm drafting a lot of, but I think I like them a little bit more than the market. The issue to me is that Geno, it does seem like the team doesn't love Geno, and that's something that can be a concern. Pickens at 41. This fucking draft room, man, is really all over the place. I have to take Devontae Smith here, 9 spots after ADP. So Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Devontae Smith falling for no particular reason, falling just because guys are reaching up at other positions, it looks like. All right, I'll take it. Throwing up the claw. Bear claws for everybody. It's growing on me. It's growing on me. Yeah, the issue with Geno really for Seattle is just that, like, you bring in Howell. They've not talked up Geno. Seemed like they were willing to move off of Geno if Geno didn't, was going to try to hold out for more money kind of thing. And there were even reports that they were willing to trade Geno heading into the draft. So to me, that's the big concern point is like Geno's got to play well from week 1. I think if you're taking Metcalf, you're taking that Seattle stack, you probably should be making the bet on Geno because that stack's going to hit. I think it's got a better shot of hitting from Geno immediately than it does from Howell coming in and being a savior. Like Howell, for whatever went wrong in Washington last year, I don't think it was all on Howell. I think that Howell fucked up, but I think it was bad play calling. It was bad protection. Like they put him in a situation to lose. So I still don't want to make the bet on Howell though, because he didn't show enough either even within them putting him in a position to fail. What if Ryan Grubb offense goes burr? That's the shot. I mean, that's the hope, I think. But it's, I wish you were with a better QB. I wish you were with they had gotten rid of Geno. They brought in McCarthy. They brought in a rookie. I don't know. Even they brought in a Justin Fields. Like I'd be willing to take that shot more. But a guy that's like not your pick at QB who is also getting a little bit older and last year was just not as good as he was the year before last. I think Geno's going the wrong way too. So he's either got to salvage, it's make or break time for him. That's the positive. But I don't know that I would have the faith. Dalton Kincaid going here. I feel like Buffalo, I like the stack. Yesterday we saw Josh Allen going at 41. Here we see Josh Allen going behind Jalen Hurts. Kind of interesting to see. If they keep coming down, I think that stack gets a little bit more interesting. Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra, Drake London, Devontae Smith. Christian Kirk is here, who would be okay. Worthy, I think we got to start taking a little bit more. McLaurin, I do believe he would be my pick ADP-wise. Oh, I'm going to take Christian Kirk again. I'm trying to break type because I can take Terry McLaurin every day in a draft, and I think I'd be completely okay with it. I can also take AR every day in a draft, whether I have Michael Pittman or not. That would be fine too. But I do think Christian Kirk is a guy that the public's going to like a lot more than me. If I had to guess over the course of BBM, I think Christian Kirk is going to start getting more into the 40s range. And I also think for this team where I did have Devontae Smith falling pretty aggressively, I kind of don't want to go reaching out of the ADP box for players right now because this team got more unique by having Devontae Smith at pick 42, really. Like this is a combo I don't think you're getting very often in drafts where we got Amon-Ra, Drake London fell just enough to come to me. Would have been better with Harrison. This would have been a very, very unique draft if Harrison fell. But I think even as it is, very unique still. So I'm going to try not to blow that right now. Raise it asking, who's a player you're waiting to fall and planning to draft in August when they have a cheaper price? That's interesting. I tend to not think about things that way. If I had to guess guys coming down a little bit more, I would say Pickens will come down once the reality of Arthur Smith sets in a little bit more for people and they hear some of the negatives from people breaking it down. AR and Stroud, by the way, I like that pairing. Feels like that's getting to be a pairing that people like to grab a lot. I've seen a lot of screenshots with it too. People going like, bet you love this one. And it's like, I do, but very popular. 0140 here. Oh God. I mean, Rome, I do like. I think we're trying to break type a little bit and get ahead of ADP. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get Brian Thomas here. I'm going to come up and get Brian Thomas. I was really thinking Ladd McConkey, but I have not taken a Jags double with Kirk and Brian Thomas. So a little bit of a reach there ADP-wise, which goes against what I was just talking about of wanting to take advantage of me getting this falling Devontae Smith. But the Jags double here, there's no way Brian Thomas was coming back to 79, I don't think. Or it was unlikely he was coming back to 79. I didn't want to play that game. You're whirling on his way to 4th round after Rashid's suspension news. I mean, he should be where he's going to be at this point. Like, he shouldn't move again, really. Like, Worthy should come up, Rashid Rice should come down. There shouldn't be another tax. It shouldn't be counted twice. And I think I agree with Raise It that it is going to get counted twice. To me, where Worthy is going right now, that accounts for like an 8-game suspension for Rashid Rice. It accounts for Worthy getting a shot, but we still have to believe the talent's going to be there, that he's going to be able to come through and be a player that can earn the role. But I think Worthy, to me, I agree he's going to come up. I just don't think he needs to come up anymore. Like, where's Worthy's ceiling price-wise? He went 60 in this room, which feels low. I think Kirk's going to come up. I think Pickens will come down. I think Higgins should come down. I'm surprised that Higgins is holding on this well at this point, given, again, just he doesn't have the contract, didn't get the big money. The team hasn't negotiated with him in a year. He's unhappy about that. He's probably going to play on the franchise tag. Doesn't seem to want to. Last year, we saw Higgins going the wrong way when his motivation was already starting to wane. Now we have another year of that. Higgins, to me, should come down. Cooper should come down a little bit. He never really paid the price for Judy coming in. And frankly, he should be paying a price as well for Deshaun Watson being his QB again. Like, I like Cooper. Cooper's best games with Joe Flacco by a very wide margin. So that's one where I could see the ADPs moving around a lot here in this range. Like, his Worthy's got to come up. Brown's got to come up. Rashee Rice has to keep falling down. I don't know. I've been surprised, honestly, by some of the markets so far, really. It was part of why, for the video title, I was talking about stacks I like more than the public. I think there's some that it's just a lot of vestigial pricing that people are holding on to. It's a lot of people like this guy 2 years ago, so they like to stack now kind of thing. Jacksonville, I think, is a little bit of that. And then, Jacksonville has a lot of weapons, and I'm taking them here, so I don't want to shit on them entirely. But I think there's a lot of little weird psychological ADP movements that I'm not fully on board with. This room is also all over the fucking place. DeAndre Swift goes at 75. Cannot get a read on what people are fucking doing here. I think they just don't like this screen, I guess. Deontay Johnson, by the way, falling 10 spots in ADP since BBM is open. Another one that surprises me. This range quietly getting very good for wide receiver. Deontay, Hopkins, Watson. Those are three guys that if that's your wide receiver 3 or 4, I don't think you're dead in the water. All right, 0150 here. We're just doing Jacksonville bullshit, I guess, which I don't do enough of. So Jacksonville, come on down. I think it's possible this corners the offense for Jacksonville pretty well, so I like that. I also think that Amon-Ra team's generally going to have more Lion stacks because Laporta is often there at the pick I didn't get him at. So I think we're getting unique here in a way that speaks to me. So let's give this team a read before our next pick comes up. So it's a 0-1-5-1 so far. Derrick Henry took him in the third round. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London got a falling Devontae Smith. So basically got 2 picks in the third round, which I like a lot. Christian Kirk took at ADP. Brian Thomas reached for him. Wasn't going to get him anyway if I had waited on him. And Evan Ingram, we got a tight end. So I guess the fact that I came up for Thomas, this team could be less unique by the time BBM goes on. We have an entire summer of ADPs moving around. But this team is like pretty functionally unique from just those little things of taking one guy ahead of ADP where you're not getting Thomas and Ingram together too often in BBM right now. We then also got Devontae, just happened to luck into him falling alongside Derrick Henry. These guys don't go together too often. So we have 2 things that don't go together too often, one of which is a stack that correlates. So actually, I like this. This is not a Duvernay team. This is very much not. Nothing is a Duvernay team if ever it was. Our guy Jaden here talking about the title. Love the Broncos and Titans stacking these formats. I would agree with both of those. Those are definitely 2 that I like a little bit more. I would say Carolina would be another cheap one. Like the good ones, the premium-ish ones. And I would say, to be clear, like AR, Stroud, like I'm with the market in all those ones. Even Allen and Hurts, like I don't want to play those as much. I don't have as much exposure to that really generally because of the fact that's like a chalk expectation of what QB is going to win you a BBM and win you in week 17. But like, those I have no issue with. Like those are great stacks. The ones though that we want to be above on or that I want to be above on, that's Caleb and Jaden in terms of the mid-price guys. Let's sit on that. That is Tennessee though. That is Denver for me going late. That's Carolina for me going late. All right, we have a 0-1-5-1 here. I like this RB pocket too. Connor, Brooks, Warren. You could take the falling knife of Rashee Rice as well. Don't really feel like I would need to do that, though. I think Connor's the best bet here. Still think he's getting goal line work in Arizona no matter what. That team's going to score touchdowns. Trey Benson is a risk point. I think Trey Benson a bigger risk point for the pass game work with Connor, which Connor was very good with last year. Connor was a plus EPA player in running plays and in pass plays, which can be hard for even good running backs to do, especially at that level of volume. So I'm happy to have James Conner as my RB2, and we'll see what comes around the bend. Touch of green ends the Rashee Rice fall here at pick 93. You got to have a good wide receiver room ahead of Rashee Rice to take him at this point, because you're losing. You can't have two incidents. You can't have two incidents like that in a row. You're running the risk of 8 games. Your hope, if you're taking Rashee Rice, though, as a falling knife, there's a shot the suspensions get kicked to next year. So that could be an outcome that works out for you. At a certain point, ADP-wise, you probably have to play that outcome, but you're taking on risk right now. Feeling he's shaking his drafting Puka. Is it a confident 9th to 10 overall pick? I think it's a confident pick for me. The concern is Stafford. Stafford has not gotten the new contract, does want a new contract. Stafford as well, the back history of injuries there, not the best. Those are things that would worry me a little bit, but, I think ultimately if you're making a bet on Puka, I'm perfectly okay with it because he was great last year. And Cooper Kupp too, for what it's worth, EPA wise, in terms of the expected points added metric that I swear by, Puka last year was like a 0.35, I believe. Cooper Kupp was like a 0.0, like he was like barely above 0. Because Cooper Kupp, that's who he is. He's like a guy that's going to do exactly what's expected. He's not going to do above and beyond. But Puka really showed above and beyond that offense in a way that I think even if Kupp is a little bit better this year, it's not going to be enough to throw him off his game. All right, so let's see what these picks do. Very important to see here. Reports today are saying the photographer altercation wasn't physical. I still think he's running the risk of getting a check yourself kind of suspension, because when you are having multitudes of issues, and as I mentioned before, like Zay Flowers had issues, like there's enough guys in the league who are year 1, year 2 receivers that, somebody, when you're doing actual crimes and you're also getting into trouble multiple times, I don't mean to rhyme there, that is something that does seem like it could have a little bit more than a slap on the wrist. Touch of green gets Jaden Daniels unstacked. Okay. Glad I didn't take Terry McLaurin today. Jaden getting more popular though. I know I'm partially responsible for that, but it's happening. Part of me wonders if you could get away with James Conner and Trey Benson together, especially with where we are in these pockets right now. Really not my favorite area. We don't have to take Trevor Lawrence yet, do we? No, we're not going to do that. God, I really just hate this pocket. Going to go Trey Benson. Let's do it. I think that him getting the pass game role, just making a bet on Arizona, I can live with it here. I don't think it's an ambiguous backfield, to be clear. And somebody had asked me, like, which teams can you take 2 backs from? I don't really want to take Arizona together too often, but I believe in the Arizona offense a lot. So, like, I think this is a bet I'm okay making, even though it goes against the thing I don't want to do over the course of an entire portfolio. But my team so far is a 0-3-5-1. We have Derrick Henry controlling the backfield in Baltimore. We have James Conner and Trey Benson combining to hopefully have offsetting ping-pong outlier days at running back. A wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Devontae Smith. And then we have the Jags triple here, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram. People love Njoku. Njoku's fine, but Njoku, this is something I don't know that I believe in. If you do believe in player tendencies more so, you should believe in it perhaps a little bit more. There's never been a good tight end with Deshaun Watson. Like, there's never been a tight end that's had a good fantasy year with Deshaun. It's possible that could be a tendency thing because Deshaun does look downfield. He's not necessarily creating a lot of, he could check down a little bit more, but he runs enough that he's not creating those kind of check down opportunities that can feed a tight end underneath. So, like, there could be a game theory logic in it. I like Njoku. I thought he was very good last year, but again, another guy, a lot better games with old Joe Flacco than they were with Deshaun. And at a certain point, you kind of have to ask the questions like, is it Deshaun or is it these players? I think it's Deshaun. And nothing we've seen this offseason is going to be that great. Njoku, then backstack Browns. No. What? I don't like the Browns. I don't. I think people like the Browns a lot. The defense, I think, will be pretty good again. Though defense, not the stickiest thing year to year, but I think they have enough talent there. They'll at least be viable again. But Deshaun, he made some of the worst plays in football last year. Like I talk about it a lot in the stream, or at least whenever Deshaun comes up and I have to point out like how bad he was. There was a play he had last year where he dropped back and got confused and threw the ball backwards. Like he does things now that are not there. And, I think the ship chasing guys actually said like, Deshaun, maybe his heart's not in football anymore. Kind of wonder about he's not throwing yet. He was hurt last year. He's not throwing it in 2024. Like there's a lot of things to have real concern about. I guess the upside for it would be that, maybe you get Jameis Winston starting and that'd be a lot of fun. We're going to take Trevor Lawrence here. He's more valuable to us than anybody else in the room. Nice discount on Curtis Samuel though. I'd be tempted, but I'm not going to force this. Not going to try to risk it again. So 1-3-5-1, we have the Jacksonville triple. We've got Trevor Lawrence, Derrick Henry. We got both Arizona running backs with James Conner, Trey Benson. Again, a play that I don't love, but right here at ADP for these guys, a little bit of a discount on Trey Benson. I think it's an okay play to make sometimes your portfolio. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Devontae Smith, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., and Evan Ingram. So this is something that I'd like to do a lot, and I wish I could be more deliberate about it, but it does kind of come down to the rooms that you're in, where you have guys here. So we have Amon-Ra, we have Drake London, we have Devontae. The instinct is going to be for a lot of players is to try to stack up these guys if you can with their QB, with Drake, with Amon-Ra. But I like the idea of where you just tack on the stack on top of that. So we're taking guys at a lower ADP who can really be the entire fulcrum of this Jacksonville offense with Kirk, with Thomas, with Ingram. And the reason I think they can be the fulcrum is, number one, I expect there's going to be big plays for Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas, the red zone guy who was a killer in the red zone last year for LSU, had over a 1 flat EPA and targets going his way in the red zone. So he was converting things at a really high level. So he's there. Then you have Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram moving the ball up the field. Trevor Lawrence, when he's healthy, does run enough as well. So I think that works well for that part. And we just have to have, ceiling years from Amon-Ra, Drake London, and Devontae. And they all have credible reasons to think they could have ceiling years. So this kind of build to me is one that, again, I don't think you can consciously force your way into. It's going to be what lines up and then what you get. But I like having that where you have your studs, you have your guys who are going to kind of perform independently, and maybe you're even getting different from a chalk stack. And we're hoping that in week 17, it's Amon-Ra cornering that production. It's Devontae cornering that production, and it's Drake London cornering that production. And then we have a stack on top of it. What if Njoku with Winston's guy you need? That's entirely possible, to be clear. Njoku, I think, is a good player. I just don't want to be tied to Watson, really. And anyway, legally, I don't even go to the same massage rooms, all those. Zeke here as an RB4 would feel pretty good. Gabe Davis free, but I don't need him. We don't want none, I don't think. Zeke to me at 127, though, right at ADP. I like that pick a lot. A 1-4-5-1 here. This is, by my standards, this RB room is like elite. This RB room, not me getting cute. Yeah, we'll take some DTR stacks. That'll work out too. If you take elite tight end, McBride, Kelsey, etc., can you stop at a second weaker tight end, Fant, Musgrave, etc.? Do you need a third? If you take an elite tight end, you inherently should be trying to go just 2 tight ends. You can go 3, but really, you're making that bet on that elite tight end being tight end 1 basically on the year. So I would try to keep it limited to 2 if you're taking an elite tight end. Eric Bimefor has some interesting thoughts on this too over at Spike Week. Has talked about the idea for him. His goal for the year is try to win the flex, go out of your way to win the flex. And that means, taking less at QB, less at tight end. And I think he raises some valid points about that. I think too, I've heard it from people in the comments and stuff like that. People who are like, I'm going to take 4 QBs this year because all my guys got hurt last year. And it's that's never going to be the way to draft. Bimefor said you basically want to be able to throw in the towel on your QB room. If your QB room can't get there with 2 guys, then that's it. I don't agree with all of that. I think if you take, if I took Jaden as my QB1, I took even Trevor Lawrence as my QB1, I think it's completely okay to take JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Gardner Minshew, whatever. Take 2 of those guys as your QB2 and 3. I think that's fine, but it's all relative to the thing. The draft capital buckets that Leone has written about at Establish the Run that Mike Leone has written about. That's ultimately what you're trying to get your brain to do is if I spend elite draft capital at 1 position, I don't want to use too much overall out of my bucket of draft capital. I want to, then have a guy going in the 10th to 15 round as my tight end 2. And then if you take an elite running back, you don't really want to take another elite running back. You want to take, 4 to 5 mid-range guys. But like we talk about here, if you don't have it in quality, you make it up in quantity. So if you're like me and you're doing extreme 0 RB teams, you don't take a running back till pick 90, pick 100. You should be grabbing 7 running backs then. But you don't need 7 when you have like Christian McCaffrey. So that's kind of the balance here that I think is the most key part to best ball that people miss. Besides, the basics, correlation, stacking, when we know the schedule coming up next week, week 17 correlation, week 16 correlation perhaps for the EV that represents as well. All right, so we do have Kirk Cousins falling here a little bit. Where's Pitts? Pitts on that side of the board. We're going to push Kirk here. I think we're going to try to dunk home running back with Zach Charbonnet. Make a bet on somebody that could win an ambiguous backfield. And we'll see here. Let's hope that logical heads prevail here, because these guys have a lot of QBs and they have no Atlanta correlation. So I would hope that we can push Kirk all the way back to 151. But that's subject to the room. We'll see. Kadarius Toney to the roof. Yeah, sure. I mean, Andy Reid's talked him up. It's more than some guys have. Charbonnet viable for yes. He's exactly the kind of player that you should want for a 0 RB team. Inherently, both his ADP, where he lines up, as well as the fact that he's in an ambiguous backfield and could theoretically win more of a share. Those are all positives for him. But yes, basically a 0 RB team is going to be anybody, from this point on, from this round on. Honestly, you can make the case round 6 on. I almost took Trey Sermon, then pussied out because my internal dialogue was telling me that a round 20 pick, not a round 18 pick. People take Evan Hull in drafts. So he's a pure handcuff though, I think. Really, I kind of, and it's tough because of the Anthony Richardson part of it. I do feel like anybody in Indianapolis is just going to be a pure handcuff. I can't see people, at least right now, we'll see what happens in July and August. Maybe Trey Sermon has a sick camp. Maybe Evan Hull's recovered from the ACL and he's back out there and looking good because this regime did take him, Shane Steichen was his first running back pick. But really, I think that Jonathan Taylor might just get his role and Zach Moss's role rolled into one. The issue is just that AR is going to take enough away in the RPO and the goal line work and just general rushing TDs. Red Hawk might have timed out on Kirk. Okay, no. Let's see. See, can we walk him down? People like the walking him down bit, so we're going to walk him down here. Kirk Cousins, top pick on the board. These guys don't need Kirk. It logistically wouldn't make sense for any of them to take Kirk Cousins. So why would they do it, guys? We're going to walk him down. Why would you possibly ruin your own team to take Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins had a first-round quarterback going with him, a guy going at pick 8, and you're going to take Kirk Cousins here? No, you're not. You're going to take Matthew Stafford. Good job, Red Hawk. Let's see what these other guys do. Every single one of them. Let's stress you out here. Are we going to get Kirk Cousins falling 18 picks after ADP? I think I deserve it. I think I've earned it. These guys all have 2 QBs. You don't need a third QB. Ginger sauce for you. Get some ginger sauce. Kirk Cousins has never tasted ginger sauce in his life. I don't even think he spices his foods. You see how white that guy is? He's in Atlanta. What was that ironic signing that they were doing? Here's Touch of Green. You don't need Kirk Cousins. Oh, you need Ben Sinnott. Fucking Touch of Green. Jaden Daniels, Ben Sinnott. Talk about stacks that I love. Come on, OMG. You need a QB real bad, but you don't need Kirk. You need Aaron Rodgers or some shit. You need 3 QBs. You need not Kirk. What are you going to stack Kirk with Darnell Mooney? No, you're not. Get out of here, Nolan. LeGrew, I don't even know who the fuck you are, but I know you don't need Kirk Cousins. I know that. I'm pretty confident in it. With your 1-4-4-3 build, you need everything else. You don't need tight ends. You're fucking obsessed with that. You're a 400-pound man with tight ends is what you are, just gobbling them up. But you don't need Kirk. Why would you need Kirk? Stop wasting the clock. Stop wasting our time. Don't take Kirk here just to fuck with me. You're better than that, Elgrew. You're better than that. Don't you dare time out. You fuck. You fuck. Oh, that is dumb shit. Oh, what the fuck? It's the first time that didn't work. Oh, man, we're backdooring it. We're going Troy Franklin. Oh, I guess you could only walk him down for so many picks. We walked him down for 11 picks. Pick 12 was too much. Couldn't do it. Can't outsmart a timeout guy. If anything, maybe I got into his head. I got into his head too much. He was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? He takes Kirk Cousins. That Kirk, Joe Burrow double, 3 tight ends. What a smartly built team here. Oh, yeah, let's go 2 running backs. Michael Pittman. Let's take Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman and not take AR. Let's do a Baltimore stack without Lamar. Let's get unstacked Joe Burrow and take 2 more tight ends. I didn't need to walk that man down. He shot himself in the foot. He shot himself in the dick. That's what he did with that pick. Get the fuck out of here. That's a bad team. Anyway, walk him down. Shoot at me. I dare you. He's been on auto the whole draft. There we go. What a time to show up to the stream, and this is why we tune. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. If you guys enjoy me. I'm coming up with new bits, if nothing else, in best ball, so please subscribe down below. Hit that like button. All of that, which helps me out a bunch here. Solo proprietor, doing the best I can to show you guys my gambling every day on stream. And, try to have fun with it, right? That was fun. Honestly, I like the walk him down bit because, it makes me feel better if I don't get the guy. Because at least it gave me something. At least I got some kind of experience out of it. And I just like talking shit to people that can't talk shit back. That's the real joy. Aaron Rodgers just hanging out here, dick in hand. I don't really think we need an RB6, but Ray Davis as an RB6 for the team is pretty nice. I think Ray Davis is coming up. Once people realize that goal line roll, it is there. Ray Davis, RB6, we are done. We are donezo at running back. Team so far, Trevor Lawrence at QB, no Kirk Cousins to be found. Kirk O'Chain said, I want to go with that guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. Derrick Henry, James Conner, Trey Benson, Ezekiel Elliott, Zach Charbonnet, Ray Davis, wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Devontae Smith, the biggest discount I've seen for Devontae Smith in a room. Jag stack here, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr. Our boy Trey Franklin is back as my wide receiver 6. Evan Ingram is my tight end. So here is where we have some optionality. I think a 2 tight end build would make sense. A 3 tight end build might make more sense. We also need to get at least 1 QB, possibly 2. So we got some optionality here to figure out. As a result, this team's going to make me feel a little bit more uncomfortable, I think, in terms of not having enough at one position, but we'll survive. That's probably a good thing. Again, as we talk about, structurally, if your teams make you feel uncomfortable, you feel like, oh man, I took 6 wide receivers early, but I can't possibly, I want to take another one. Good. That means you probably have enough receivers. If you took 6 running backs and you're like, oh man, I took Derrick Henry, but I want to get a 7th running back. No, you're probably good because it makes you uncomfortable. That's really where most of the structural things are going to come. Bucky Irving plus Baker is fun. I agree. Welcome down. Bit's a good vent session. I'm glad. I feel like it's been a lot of positive comments about it. So that's a keeper. We sometimes throw some bits out there. They don't stick, but holding the football, that's stuck. Walking them down, that's sticking. Fantasy flock bit. Whenever I remember how his voice sounds, that comes back. Though he is the Drake to my Kendrick Lamar. I'm here spitting bars every day. He's there doing pop songs about running backs. I won't accuse him of anything else. I don't, I haven't checked the Fantasy Flock Embassy. I don't know what's there. I don't want to speculate, It's not like us, though. Tell you what. Jerry got spooked off. Jerry was so wrong about the Dalvin Cook take that he got dunked on so bad with that one that he was never coming back. there was no winning back, Jerry. He came back for a few streams, but unfortunately, I think when you're that wrong, it's hard to dig out of the hole, I suppose. All right, so we got Denver. You guys won't like if I do only Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix, but I'd be okay with it. I'm going to go Marvin Mims here. We're going Denver. The Jerry voice is great, though. Still, it's true. I mean, there really haven't been any Jerry situations here. I feel like, well, the way this guy's drafting in front of me is a little Jerry-esque. But, I feel like what would be the running back? There really isn't even a Dalvin Cook this year, a guy that I'm like, you fucking buffoons. you don't even know what you're talking about here. And that was a lot of people, too. There were a lot of people that thought Dalvin Cook had all the juice in the world, and he's going to beat out Breece Hall. And you go, and I'm not Mr. Breece or anything, but that was one of the more ridiculous thoughts that happened last summer. So I don't even know what that would be. Like, it would be like if Baltimore signed somebody worse than Derrick Henry, and then they also drafted Jonathan Brooks. There really isn't a take that's like that. That Dalvin Cook was like such a one of one, because people who really liked Dalvin Cook last year were like dying on that hill. It was like, Dalvin, remember all the good times with Dalvin? Now he's going to go there. Oh, he's going to go to Miami. He's going to ruin everything in Miami. Oh, that didn't work. Chase Brown could be Dalvin. No fucking way. Get the fuck out of here. Chase Brown's got juice. Chase Brown's young and explosive. Let's look at Chase Brown's analytics from last year. How right am I here? Chase Brown was awful in the run game last year. Negative 0.2 EPA per rush, but it doesn't surprise me because he wasn't good at Illinois, though he wasn't good because he was getting a ton of volume at Illinois. 0.4 EPA per pass, though. That's where the value is for Chase Brown. Very explosive in the pass game, and that is a role. There's no fear for him there. Okay, we gotta make a move here. Got 3 rounds left. A 1.671. I feel done at running back. Come on, Bo. Come on. Got it right before the clock. All right. Just going to get Bo Nix here. I need to think about what else I would want. No Fant would be okay, but it's not enough for me to just punt QB a little bit further. And I want to get my second QB here to think if there's a way for me to add a third QB logically. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to think about it. A 2.671 is the team I have so far. Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix. Again, tying back to the headline of the video, I am as up on Denver as anybody. There's nothing that spooks me off of Denver. Sean Payton has given the verbal fellatio to Bo Nix enough times now. And Bo Nix himself, plus EPA thrower, one of the best EPA throwers it's ever been in college, playing at Oregon, playing a legit competition. He's going to get the ball out with velocity. He's going to be the starter from day one. Confident in all those things. Ben DiNucci gone from Denver now too. So there's one less body. Poor Ben DiNucci. Ben DiNucci getting kicked out of the room. But still, for Denver, to me, they are the team. I guess Bryce Young's going cheaper. Denver and Carolina are your late great bailouts. So that's a stack that I'm higher on. And frankly, with JJ McCarthy going to 188, this is too cheap. Our guy Nolan here, OMG in the 5-hole, gets Justin Jefferson, didn't get Addison here, but does get one part of Minnesota. If you have Jefferson, there is no reason to not take JJ McCarthy for free right now, because any bet on Jefferson is saying that JJ McCarthy is going to do it day one. And I know people will go, well, Sam Darnold could start. No, it's not going to happen. Not that team. That team's too smart analytically. They know you have your rookie QB on his big contract window, especially because they're going to have to pay Jefferson $35 million a year, the latest reports. So they need rookie QB to hit day one. McCarthy, thinking about that more and also seeing the contract rumors about there for Jefferson, they can't afford not to start McCarthy day one. Like they literally cannot afford to do that in terms of team building. Was wishing Jatavian Sanders was going to come back to me. I was thinking about doing a late Bryce Young Jatavian. That is another little fun 3 QB kind of thing to do. Cody Schrader. There's no fucking chance Cody Schrader is anything. I'll put that on tape right now. No fucking chance he's worth anything. Not in that room. All right, 2.671 here. What is old LeGrew going to do? Timeout on Will Levis would be my guess, based on how this has gone so far. 2.563. Come on, Will Levis. No, it's okay. He's not autoing, is he? Unless he has all the QBs already. He's only got 2 QBs, so he definitely was not autoing. Just a fool. Just a fool. We're going to take Will Levis here for QB3. Gonna stick with my one tight end build. I'm gonna take a tight end in round 18, but we'll see what the room allows to come back to me. No one else appreciates Kadarius Toney like the true study is. I was in on Kadarius Toney last year, even at whatever ADPs he was at. The beginning one, the one he got to, I will not be making that bet again. But Kadarius Toney, for what it's worth, Rashee Rice gets suspended. Everybody's gonna flock to Worthy. Kadarius Toney could quietly benefit from that just as much, if not more. So I will say for Jaden's credit, Kadarius Toney is going to get one more shot just out of the sheer lack of there being anything there with Rashee Rice. And if he doesn't hit again, then it's done. If he does hit, though, more power to you because nobody's taking Kadarius Toney. Then I think Kadarius Toney's got talent. I will not begrudge that. That's why I made the bet last year. Like, I think if Kadarius Toney didn't have fucking Christ, really was hoping we get Chig back for free, but that guy needed a third tight end with Travis Kelce. This is where, by the way, like, I'm sure he thinks he had the flexibility with his wide receiver room. I would say he absolutely did not. He thinks he could take a third tight end with Travis Kelce. You're making that elite tight end bet. You don't want to do that when you have Hunter Henry as well, who's perfectly fine as your tight end too in that kind of build. You take Chig here. His fucking receiver room is absolutely ass. Just not the way to draft. Obviously, I'm saying it because I'm personally aggrieved by not getting Chig for free with my Will Levis effort here, but it's okay. Will Levis is going to be running around, right? He's going to be running around, throwing for enough touchdowns that it won't matter. But holy shit, my second tight end is going to be awful. Evan Ingram, tight end 1 year coming up. So we're going to justify this. To be clear, I don't think anybody loves Toney. I don't think that's true at all. I think he lost a lot of friends in that building last year. And then also bitching about the team having him on the injury list and claiming he wasn't injured. That did not engender any goodwill. Andy Reid's a very patient guy. Mahomes, too, patient for anybody who's going to be a weapon for him. But he did not engender goodwill with his approach. I would not personally want to die on the hill of Kadarius Toney if I were you, but you may follow your heart. Greg Dulcich will be our tight end here, which was probably the move I should have made all along. Will Levis is an added thing to this team. Maybe there's some world where Jacksonville plays Tennessee week 17 and Levis slightly outscores Trevor Lawrence. That ends up mattering, but right now it doesn't seem like it matters. Final team here is a 3-6-7-2. We've got Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, and Will Levis at QB. So once again, we started QB late. I think you kind of have to take 3 QBs at that point, even though personally, I'm willing to get uncomfortable with the onesie positions, but that's what I think the logical move would be. Running back, Derrick Henry, James Conner, Trey Benson. So we did capture the entire Arizona backfield only because it was a little bit of a discount for Benson. Ezekiel Elliott, Zach Charbonnet, Ray Davis. So we could make the case that was a 5 RB room. I did go to 6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Devontae Smith, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. So bets on Denver, bets on Jacksonville. Same thing at tight end, Evan Ingram, Greg Dulcich. So triple stacks for Jacksonville and Denver, and Will Levis coming along for the ride, eating mayo, eating banana skins, all that fun shit. The way to draft is take an unstacked Levis. I mean, look, when he's running 15 times a game this year, they added all these receivers just to dupe us all, just to confuse us, as then Will Levis takes on the biggest rushing haul that any QB has ever taken. That's the dream. Hey, the dream continues on here on Splash Play. Of course, I do drafts every day, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. So your subscription matters a lot here. We like to have fun here, and I also like to talk about the data. I like to talk about the news. I like to talk about the game theory. You get it all rolled up into one, and I show up and I answer your questions. I reply to things in chat. I hear your debates, and I try to volley them back, or sometimes have my opinion changed. That's how it is here on Splash Play. You will gain EV by being a part of the stream here every Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. That's my promise to you. So please subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Underdog, new promo going up to $250 to bonus cash. $250 in boner cash coming your way in Underdog. I'm sure they'd love to hear that. But it's a new promo on there. Basically, it's going to be variable, I guess. But if you deposit up to $500 as of right now, you get $250 match. So more money than was going before, but a 50% match. So check that out. Up to $250 in bonus cash and also boner cash. Probably you need some cash for your boners. Go check out Probably sports betting. Of course, crushing this weekend. Probably has been legitimately amazing. Up 15 units or so the last 2 days. Hit home run bets and long shot derivatives yesterday like crazy. So please follow Probably right now. Investor principles we talk about here. Daniel Kahneman, famous psychologist, talked about investor principles and how basically if something was once at one price, if something had success before as an investment, investors just go like, yeah, this shit's going to rock forever. So you as an investor, Probably is going to rock forever. So just go check it out. Remember, good Splash. Get 50% off at probably.com, probly.com/subscribe. And Stochastic for your DFS needs. Check them out as well. 15% off with promo code SPLASH on there. Link in the description too. Shout out to the Squirt Squad here. Actually, have to add our guy D. Owens onto this list as well. But all the folks who hit that join button down below, $4.99 a month, you help support this channel. And also you get things back from me. My Spags rankings, updates every Saturday morning will be coming your way via both the community tab on here on YouTube, as well as the Deposit Kingdom Discord, our Squirt Squad VIP channel that you get access to as part of this membership. But please go along with all these fine folks. Hit that join button down below for $4.99 a month. And I see people hanging on here as though I'm going to do another draft, but not today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow for another one. So thank you all for hanging out. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow us at Splash Play Pod and come back tomorrow for more. I will see you guys then. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.